Hey folks, welcome to the Workplace Innovator podcast. It's me, your host Mike P, here with another episode of the show. Kicking off a new year, 2026. Very excited to be here. And joining us today is a frequent flyer on this podcast, everybody. You know him, you love him. You always look to him for insights around workplace and experience in our world of work and facility management and corporate real estate. He's joining us today from the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody, please welcome Bryan Berthold to the show. Bryan, welcome back.
Great to be here. Nice to see you again, Mike.
Well, it's always good to talk with you. And for those that don't know you, Bryan, I just want to give the proper introduction of your impressive credentials, my friend. You are a global workplace experience leader at Cushman Wakefield. In fact, you are the global lead for workplace experience, and your team is responsible for what? Tell us about it.
Well, really, we're at that cusp of helping our clients understand the workplace experiences their employees are having. And we love diagnosing that down to how can real estate workplace make an impact, a positive impact on that experience. So we help them score their experience, uncover those drivers of it, and which ones are the weak points, the pain points that they can, invest in and improve. So it's fun to work together and actually create environments where people can thrive.
Excellent. And you are fresh off the publication of a new research report, a paper called Reimagining Workplaces, Why Efforts Fall Short and How to Get It Right. First of all, congratulations to you and your co-author, which is Lindsay Smith, Dr. Lindsay Smith. A shout out to her. And tell us about this report. Why did you do it? And what were you trying to find out?
Yeah, what we've seen is we seem to be at this crossroads. We're out of COVID, a lot of media hype around the workplace experience and burnout and well-being and how do we create places where people thrive. But what we're seeing is a lot of efforts are still defaulting to how we did things prior to COVID. When everyone was in the office, we focused on efficiency and space design, and not a lot of effort around the workplace experience. So as our observations, and we've worked with over 200 clients now, just studying their workplace experience, we're seeing the same kind of habits that are forming. And as we're witnessing the problem, we're also coming up with the solution set and the answers. And they're not always difficult or challenging, but it's always based on human behaviors in different ways of solving the same problem.
Sure.
So we decided, hey, let's put our arms around this and help people understand, while everyone wants to improve the workplace experience, what's getting in our way today.
Wow. I love that, Bryan. And it's what we talk about here on this podcast all the time, right? We need to be innovative in how we approach things today. We're not in the same scenario we were just a few years ago, and people's expectations have changed and the way we work has changed. And there's so much to unpack here in the report. I'm going to get to it here in a moment, and I can't wait to hear what you've discovered and really offer my audience some practical advice on where they can take these types of topics to their leadership team and to their people and in their organizations as facility management and real estate leaders in the world today. But before we go there, before we get too far, you know me, I mean, we see each other at industry conferences. We love talking about things like music. In fact, Bryan, you and I sat together for a few minutes anyway, outside of a session during IFMA's World Workplace late last year.
In Minneapolis.
Yes, Prince's hometown, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Becky Spohn was there with us, someone who then later I had on the show. If you haven't heard that episode, everybody check out Becky's podcast. But We talked about music. We talked about our first concerts. Remind me who your first concert was. Who did you see live?
My first concert was Jethro Tull, if you're old enough to remember who that is. Um,
Aqualung.
but one of my favorites that I was sharing with you was seeing U2 in a bar with about 100 people.
Yes, I was so jealous,
They
Bryan.
just came across for the first time in America. They were like 19 and 20 years old, and they
Wow,
blew everyone away.
unbelievable. Where was this? Was it in Atlanta or New
In
York, or where were
Syracuse,
you?
Syracuse, New York. I went to the
Okay,
University of Syracuse, got my degree in architecture there.
amazing. So it must have been around what, 1980, 81?
Yeah, yeah, 1981.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They were probably here promoting Boy, or maybe just
No,
getting
boy,
ready.
it was their only album. In fact, I Will Follow being their hit off of that was their second song in, which we thought weird, but it's because they were going to play it again at the encore. They
They
didn't
didn't
have
have
enough
enough
material. They just started
material.
repeating songs. So, hey, that's cool.
Walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away. I will follow. So jealous. I just saw U2 in the most recent time. I missed them at the Sphere in Vegas. I wanted to get there, but I was in Vegas during F1 a couple of years ago, and that's when they were taking a break from their Sphere residency. But I did see them at Madison Square Garden,
Oh,
MSG,
nice.
during the Innocence and Experience tour, which was a dream come true. I had a lovely anniversary trip with my wife to New York City, and I said, by the way, hon, would you mind if we saw U2 at Madison Square Garden? And I figured after 25 years of marriage at the time, she said, sure, that was something she was willing to do for me. So thank you to the DJ Mike P, Mrs. DJ Mike P. The other thing I like to do, Bryan, before we get into the topic at hand is inspire the audience. You know, we're in constant need of inspiration and motivation during our challenging life as workplace leaders. Do you have a favorite quote you could share?
Well, it's interesting because part of this quote, which I love Albert Einstein's quote of, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we use to create them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm seeing as probably our biggest challenge is the way we're set up in companies with the real estate group and the IT group. We have our swim lanes, we have designers, furniture folks, the service providers, food providers. They're all running around with a focus on creating a great work environment, great products, great the lighting, the tech all working, but all of them are not set up, and their KPIs for success are not set up around the experience they're creating for the people. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that we're pointing out is that you've heard terms like activity-based working, for example.
Sure.
Activity-based working is creating different activity environments within your floor plan. But again, it's the space. Here's an environment to collaborate. Here's an environment for heads down or a library space. But again, none of that is focused on people. So we've coined a new term called experience-based working that puts the human front and center. And my rallying cry is, hey, everyone that's touching space, why don't we get together and say, hey, let's measure workplace experience, and then how do you have a KPI that rolls into that? So we all are rowing together in the same boat. And that's really what I'm seeing is leadership wants to create great workplace experiences. But what we have found in our data, only 47% of our clients actually have a focus on the workplace experience. And then less than 1% treat it like a business priority. So what they say, and then by the time it gets to real estate, they're focused right now post-COVID on efficiency, and we have too much space, and is everyone coming in, and we're taking attendance. Well, attendance is an inexperience metric. I always call that moving from college back to high school. In college, they didn't take my attendance when I arrived or check me out, but now all of a sudden you're asking again, and I need a hall pass.
Right. Right.
And that's not what people want to come back for. In fact, that's another shift that now that we're in this virtual world and more people are working from home, more flex spaces, or in the office, um, people come in for the top reason to collaborate and connect with others.
Right.
They can do
Sure.
their heads down work anywhere, quiet space, whether that's home. Um, and but what's disappointing is when we ask people, hey, that's great. You want to collaborate, build relationships, interact with management, feel the culture, all of these things that are top reasons. But when we ask people, is your office delivering that? Only 60% say it is. So 40% are saying not hitting the mark. And I think part of the flaw with a lot of leadership out there is they think we're doing the same things at home as we're doing in the office. So they just want to shift the balance scale to where you're doing those types of activities. No, I go in the office to be with my team or to brainstorm or to meet with clients. I do the back office kind of thing at home or wherever is convenient for me. In most space, I still see a hesitancy to invest in capital or operating expense. So it's legacy space, pre-COVID space, which was all about the desk. 2/3 of space focused on desk and the other on collaboration. And I think that needs to shift to 2/3 about community spaces, social activities, and only 1/3 around the desk, kind of like going to a conference center that has a lot of convenience things when people get together.
Yeah, well, that requires, as you said, doing things differently, thinking outside the box, being innovative. And human beings struggle with that sometimes, Bryan. That's been an overriding theme on this podcast for years, and I always try to address it head on. You talked a lot about different kind of legacy ways of doing things, different management styles that maybe worked years ago and need to be rethought today, and aligning people. Everyone goes into these situations, even if they have good intentions. They're trying to solve a problem. We know that we need to make the workplace more amenable to productivity and to human flourishing and giving people what they need. And the technology element comes in. We'll ask you about that here in a minute. But, alignment of priorities when you have your personal and organizational or institutional biases. You mentioned the vendors come in with one agenda and you've got the old school manager with another agenda. Your different departments have different priorities. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on how we can better align those. I mean, you did mention doing things with a North Star, something measurable. And that's where I know you as the innovator who came up with, or your team did anyway, the experience per square foot metric. Is that right? Tell us about that and how maybe that type of thinking or that type of, measurement can help us get to where we want to go.
Yeah, the model itself for experience per square foot is around the same thinking. So I'll parallel these two things.
Nice.
One for companies to develop a North Star, it starts with the top. I think they need a unifying governance that says, hey, we really want to improve the workplace experience. Let's create a task group. Let's get HR, real estate, IT, someone representing the business, and let's put them together to say, hey, how do we work together and with all the strategies we have, align on what that is and sanction this group to make decisions, have funding to actually roll out changes to the work environments, and figure out hybrid. It's not just about the real estate space. It's about how people work at home, on the road, and in the office. Now, in a similar fashion, our experience per square foot model, the way that works, which is different. It's not, some people think, hey, that's just a survey. We analyzed a lot of surveys, which happen to be satisfaction surveys. Hey, here's a bunch of stuff. Your food, your desk, the webcam, whatever, how important are these things and how well are we doing? And you just get a lot of disparate data. You don't know how these things intersect. And guess what? None of those questions actually ask, hey, Mike, how are you?
Right.
So experience per square foot, ask that question. Hey, are you able to focus? Are you able to collaborate effectively with your team? Are you energized throughout your day, bonding with your colleagues? Are you learning? We ask all those and then come up with an actual index score for the experience of the people. And we can sort it by locations, by departments, by gender, generation. We can really pick it apart. But what's
Very cool.
really unique is we have the science to take all those things that you provide, and it's not just real estate. It's your tech, your amenities, the services, the value of the location. We can take all that stuff and we can regress it against those experience questions to say, hey, there's like 40 things over here we ask you about. And what's fascinating to me is only 8 to 10 actually matter. It's not always the same 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then on average, half of those drivers, as we call them, do well and the other half need help. So now we can really score a place and tell you, here are the 4 or 5 things to invest in. But here's the key. 3 may be real estate, 1 may be technology, 1 may be an HR amenity. So this is where you need the rallying cry around the governance to say, hey, I need 1 fund and 1 measurement that then can do these 5 things, and it involves 3 different groups in this case. So that's how we built this model, and that's why we wrote this paper. Is that's not a practice that we're doing today. We're creatures of habit, as you said, Mike.
Right.
And
right.
we're still in our silos. And if you
Mm-hmm.
look at the contracts, there's nothing incentivizing somebody with an amenity to worry about the desk guy. It's just
Right.
not there. But we all have a role on whether people are thriving or productive in the work environment.
We absolutely do. And I think we all want that better outcome. We all want to make sure that the people working side by side with us or on our team, or, everybody is having a great experience and able to bring to the table their unique set of skills that make us all productive and happy, because we're contributing something greater than ourselves. And I talk about that a lot as well. So let's talk more about the report and what you reveal. If someone was to pick up a copy of Reimagining Workplaces, I see in the executive summary, and I've had a chance to peruse the report myself, there's a lot to say about this hybrid challenge and the way it's a model that needs to be worked out, and maybe the old ways of looking at things are not going to be suitable going forward. But you've seen a continuing priority around reducing costs and optimizing real estate. That's really nothing new, but it's certainly been put into overdrive here in the post-COVID era. And there's some insight into how organizations are improving attendance and then, in fact, improving the experience and the engagement their workforce has once they do make the decision, and when they do make the decision to come to an office. So with that in mind, Bryan, how are we doing? The trends, are they going in the right direction? Are some organizations embracing some of these philosophies and some of this data that you're putting in front of them, and this new way of thinking and this philosophy, and saying, yeah, we're going to put this into action and we're seeing results?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that question.
That's a DJ Mike P special, Bryan, where I ask 12 things at once. I love it. Well, pick whichever one you found most interesting.
Yeah, addressing number 7. Yeah, I think some of the things, and yes, there are companies that are doing this well, and that took some time. Here's what we witnessed. When people are just going in blind and saying, and we saw this a couple years ago, they just started throwing mandates out there, trying to enforce and take attendance. It felt like the school principal was showing up and slapping our wrist if we weren't conforming. What we can tell you is we saw workplace experience scores for those companies that took those moves. They dropped by 25 to 30%.
Wow.
Huge drop. And the biggest outlier that we really focus and ask people to focus on is the well-being of people. We saw productivity and the overall experience didn't move a lot. 2 years ago, it took about a 10% percentage point drop, but it rebounded last year. But well-being was up at 3/4 of people having good to great well-being, strong well-being. Today, that's only 40%, and it's been there for 3 years in a row.
Hmm.
So it's not like, hey, I need to implement things to make people more productive. No, make them healthier, improve their well-being, and create environments, not that you force them into that. That's their first choice. That's what I see some of our best practice clients are saying. I want to create an environment where this would be their first choice. Best technology, best way to get together, amenities that matter, and a space design that conforms to the purpose of the office. As I said, people 40% don't think it does. Well, they're going to have to invest some. Where I have seen success is companies, and believe it or not, you can have your cake and eat it too. We had one client, TIA Financial Services, who made a people pledge that we all do better work when we come together, and we are going to invest in the workplace to make it what it needs to be. Oh, by the way, we now have a 3-day-a-week mandate.
Oh, okay.
So they rolled that out, but it's been fascinating to watch. They actually, in the first year, got a 7.5% workplace experience improvement. Not a 25% drop with a mandate. They actually saw an improvement because they used our experience per square foot. People saw, hey, you asked me. We saw you implement things. There are things in here now that we wanted that we are getting. And another best practice is this is like a HR engagement survey. You keep going back to the well. Hey, what's driving it? What can we do better? Nobody's going to get this right the first time out. COVID has
Sure.
changed. Tech has changed. Let's throw AI in to boot. We're working hybrid. Nobody's going to get it all right, but we need data and insight to drive why we invest in what we do. And this is a company I've watched go from 55% on their experience to 58 to 60, and they're now at 63%. They improve every year while managing their mandate and seeing attendance improve.
Wow. That's really interesting, Bryan. So it's not that mandates in and of themselves are bad. It's the execution of the communication of the reasons for it. And then also alongside it, taking time and the care to listen to the people and understand what they need when they do come in, and then putting it all together in a vision and a leadership communication style that gives people that sense of purpose and alignment is what we're talking about here. And taking out some of the mystery. We've always said that human beings, our default setting is always going to default to negativity if we are left unaware of what the broader reason for this is. What's the why, as Simon Sinek might say, or, what is it you're trying to do here? If it's properly
take
handled,
the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
We got a lot of requests for a survey to do amenity studies because everyone thought, free lunch or a free parking pass was going to get people in. But what's interesting in the data we found is people actually want to be productive. So I'll use HP in this. We did a case study with them. So they asked, hey, free lunch, free breakfast, parking, all these things. The number one thing that they asked for to get them back is the desk better have 2 monitors on it. I want a sit-stand desk. Did you fix the webcam taped to the wall in the meeting room? I want an ergonomic chair. And as we stood back, we were like, they want to be productive.
Yeah.
And your environment doesn't meet what they think provides productivity. So amenities are tertiary. Hey, that's nice, but Donut Tuesday will get them in once. It's not, this is a carrot and stick kind of thing. Whereas really, hey, they listened. Okay, I get it. Why don't we shift funds from the free lunch over to the tech they want when they come in? Let's face it, we all set up our home very effectively. And they actually set a goal that we don't want to just match home. We want to be better than home with the experience. So they actually measure the experience of people at home and people that are in the office to say, hey, which one's better, which one's worse. And they actually started by going after the tipping point. People right on that bubble. Well, why don't we look at what they need, start creating a tipping point. Because sometimes if somebody's 5 days a week from home, good luck convincing them to come in. But you got to start somewhere.
Not just Donut Tuesday. I thought it was Taco Tuesday, Bryan, but that's another thing. Listen, I love this.
We got
I am
Krispy
encouraged
Kreme in
by
Atlanta, you know, this is...
Say it again?
This is Krispy Kreme's home base, you know.
Oh, in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course. I passed by the headquarters when I was last there. I love it.
Or I could say Chick-fil-A.
So much good food. So much good food in your part of the world. And thank you for that. Listen, I'm looking at the clock. The time is going by way too fast. It always does. Let's get practical. As I let you kind of wrap up, we'll definitely point people to the report, the paper in the show notes. Everybody look for a link. You'll find a way to find Cushman and Wakefield's Reimagining Workplaces report. I definitely encourage you to download that. But Bryan, what would you say? You know my audience. They're the same people we talk to at IFMA and at CoreNet events, corporate real estate, facility management leaders, workplace strategists, and all of the vendors and the community around them that are trying to deliver a great workplace experience. What would your final piece of advice be?
Well, honestly, the paper itself focuses on the methodology to success. It's not the answer of do this A, B, and C. It's really, my advice is get the people in a room. I would actually say, hey, use the paper. Everyone read it and let's find out, hey, what's our rallying cry? What's our North Star? People that normally don't work together, let's get all of us in a room and just spend some time saying, hey, how can we work through this? And I would volunteer that, hey, if they want us to come present the oversight of what we found as a starting point, happy to do that. But I think you got to have the conversations that integrate all of these people as a starting point. Otherwise, what I witness is everyone solving this separately. And that scares me. I'm in real estate conferences. Well, I went to an HR conference and they're talking about solving it too. I went to a tech one and they're solving it as well. And that's where I'm like, oh, this is not good.
There you go. Yeah. We all have to get on the same page, the same team. And this paper could help us get there as a map to find the true treasure. I'm sorry. I'm in the Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, Road to Mordor mindset here as we talk. But no, thank you, Bryan. Such good stuff. Always insightful, always interesting when we have a chance to talk, and always inspiring and encouraging. I think there is a great opportunity for my audience of workplace leaders to take the lead in this area. And if they need more information, they can reach out to me or you. I'll leave links again in the show notes to make it easy to connect. And as always, I want to thank you for taking time to join me here on the Workplace Innovator podcast.
Yeah, thanks. And one thought I did have is the work environment is really core to real estate. It's not as much with HR tech groups. So an opportunity to lead that conversation really exists with all of us in that field. So it's an opportunity to grab.
I agree. Thank you again. I'm going to go listen to my YouTube Boy album. Haven't heard it.
I'm going to cue it
recently.
up myself.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, Bryan. And thank you all for joining us here on the show. Once again, I hope you found something of value in this conversation. And if so, please do me a favor and share this episode with a colleague or a friend, anyone who might like to join us as we continue on our journey to encourage and inspire you to be a workplace innovator. Peace out, everybody.